My name is Waju Akin-Emmanuels, and I'll be your host. On today's edition, we have the special privilege of playing host to two great Nigerians who have been able to cut their teeth in their chosen profession. We have Ibrahim Abdulkarim, the Managing Director and CEO of Easy GIS Limited. By profession, he's a communication strategist and specialist. He's a convener of We Together movements. And by God's grace, just a couple of years ago, he was instrumental to crowdfunding, for President Muhammadu Buhari, where about $1.5 million was raised within a space of 6 months. Such an honor to have such an individual join us on today's show. Ibrahim, good evening to you.
Thank you, Waju. Thank you for having me.
Such an honor to have you join us on the show. And also on tonight's show, we also have one of the spokespersons of the Obidient Campaign Council, none other but the fiery lady, Ndi Kato. Good evening, Ndi. How are you today?
Very fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is ours. On tonight's edition, guys, we'll be talking about the future of Nigeria. And as God will have it, these two great Nigerians are from the northern part of this nation. I would like to get this conversation started from Ndi, knowing full well that she's a spokesperson to, the Obidient Campaign Organization. Ndi, let's talk about the North. You are from the North. You are a woman in the North. Lots of issues you face in the North. First and foremost, because you're a woman. Secondly, you are a Christian. You come from Inko, the minority. How do you undo that as a person when you think about your region? Did I make sense with that?
I mean, question? we're in a dire situation in northern Nigeria. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear now, yeah.
Okay, we're in a dire situation as a northern. I mean, I say that every single identity that I have is endangered, as a northerner, as a Christian in the North, as a woman. All of these identities come together to make sure that this is not an easy existence for me. And it's this existence or this story is representative of that of millions, tens of millions of people in northern Nigeria. And more than ever, we are in a place right now that we need a change. We're rolling down a hill really quickly, and that is towards anarchy. I mean, even saying that it's towards anarchy feels like I'm delaying the conversation. It feels like we have arrived at anarchy, and that's what it is. And as a woman, this election is very important for me. Our story as women in northern Nigeria is not quite easy. Our rights, we still struggle with equal rights. We still struggle with the right to go to school. This is not just limited to the North, to be honest. I've seen it in other parts of the country, but I'm speaking from my own experience as a northern person. We have many people who have not gone to school. In fact, in my family, my mother's family, she's the only person that got to go to school, male or female. And then the extended family, it's just her children that got to go to university. So the poverty we're talking about is not far from me. Like, my extended family members have not had the opportunity to go to university. Many of them just work on the farms, and now they can't even go to those farms. Poverty exists within my own family, and I'm seeing it live. I know women who cannot go out. I know women who cannot go to vote. I know women that even when they go out to vote, it is what they are told by those who control them that they're going to vote. They don't have agency. They don't have the right to make their own decisions. And this is really the story of northern Nigeria. Now, you can draw a straight line, right, from the lack of freedom of those of us, from the typical northern woman, of many women, of millions of women in northern Nigeria. You can draw a straight line from that lack of freedom, lack of agency, inability to go to school, or not being able to go to school, being prevented from going to school, not inability. That poverty that women face in northern Nigeria, you can draw that straight line to the terrorism we are facing in the North right now. Because if a woman is enabled, if a woman has what it is to take care of her family, her children will not be in the streets. And you know that. If a woman can take care of her kids, if a woman has that agency, has that backing, that she knows that she's a free person, she can do what it is that she needs to do to keep herself and her children and her family, we will not be having what we are having today in Northern Nigeria. But that is our reality. So this is an election that is a great decider, that we want to look at this election, want to look at our lives as Northerners and say, do we want to continue down this line? And the answer is no. We're already far down the slope, and we need a swift and a sharp change, because what we're facing is quite different. This conversation couldn't have come at a better time, because as Northern Nigeria, we need to examine what it is we are facing. It appears that a large part of this conversation looks like we're entering the election like any other region, but we are not. We are entering the election as a disadvantaged region. And as a disadvantaged region, we do not have the luxury. We do not have the luxury to have conversations about, oh, the religion of who is going to win the election. Is the person going to support my faith? Is the person, we don't have that luxury. I keep saying that culture is now, culture is subject to necessity. The necessity of now is that Northern Nigeria needs a boost, needs a change, a swift 180 change from what is obtainable right now. And no better time to decide this, no better time for us to put our foot forward. And the only place many of us people can fight is at the polls. Because when you come out to protest, they will chase us back. When it's so bad in Northern Nigeria, I mean, we've seen several attempts at people wanting to protest because of the insecurity in the north, and they are shot at. The media won't even carry it like they will carry when something happens in the south. So the only place we have a voice right now is at the polls. And we're hoping that, look, we would make our voices known loud and clear. I mean, if you come to my locality, and I'm glad that I'm here in a Northern conversation, looking like this and all of that, because Northern Nigeria, of course, is not a monolith. There's so many, it's a heterogeneous society. So many cultures come together to make Northern Nigeria. And in many of these cultures, there's a wide acceptance of the Obi candidacy, because there's that belief that we are going through so much and we need a change.
Thank you so much, Ndi. I mean, I didn't want to actually cut into your flow while you were speaking, but you've been able to actually paint what looks like a not too good picture of what you've had to face as a northerner, particularly a woman. But let me ask this question: was it ever good for you or for minorities in the north before now? Was it ever a great time for you in terms of the way you lived with other people within that particular region? Was it ever good, or has it always been this bad?
So here's the thing, like when we say minorities in the north, it looks like it's one tribe that is minority. If you come to my senatorial zone, there are 53 tribes in my senatorial zone. My local government has over 10 tribes, and we live in peace. So it's not like, one big group of people are just going around looking for where to fight. We live in peace. And then this chaos is dropped into into the middle of this peace and cohesiveness that we have been able to achieve. In fact, we live in so much peace that we've been able to bring everybody under one umbrella. Like, we know we don't understand each other's languages and all of that, but we're from this same senatorial zone and we have several commonalities. Let us come and operate as one so that we can grow. And that's how it has been across the Middle Belt too. Same thing. So many autochthonous, that's what we call them, autochthonous tribes, indigenous tribes in Northern Nigeria. Many of those tribes live in so much peace. This chaos is alien to us, and it's really sad. And to show that the people are not people that are of chaos, these attacks will happen, and when the attacks go, our people don't turn militants. They continue trying to live their normal life. Then another attack happens, and they still try to bounce back and live their normal lives, and then another attack happens. So it's a place of great cohesion. I mean, there's a central theme that governs Northern Nigeria, and it's called Mutunchi, the spirit of brotherliness. There's that spirit where, the next person you meet any day, anytime is your brother until they give you a reason to not be. So any stranger you meet, you are supposed to treat that person nicely till aggression comes, till the person gives you a reason to not treat them nicely. We don't meet strangers with suspicion. We meet strangers and want to welcome them in. We are warm towards strangers. We are warm towards everybody. And that's literally the spirit of the North. This violence, this kind of destruction, is not something we're so used to. I mean, it has happened in little bits and pieces, and they have been able to keep it under control. But the breakdown, especially with the onset of this new democracy that came in '99, the breakdown and the failure of the political powers that be to curtail this using justice, that has been what it is. What is absent in Northern Nigeria, and what is continuing to make this blow out of proportion, is that lack of justice, that when these things happen, people look at these things from a tribal lens instead of looking at it as criminality. So when criminality happens, criminality needs to be punished. If you do not punish criminality, you are rewarding criminality, and that's what is happening in northern Nigeria. Criminality has been rewarded to the point where these people are so bold to continue on such a large scale. And what I admire about, at every given opportunity, I would want to mention Peter Obi here. What I admire about Peter Obi's drive or his direction with respect to insecurity and northern Nigeria and all parts of the country is he has pointed it out. Look, what we are facing is criminality, and it needs to be faced with justice before we give it a tribalness. If you want to say it's herdsmen, if you want to say it's Kagoro, if you want whatever place you want to say it is from, whatever group of people, the conversation is that this is criminality and it shouldn't be happening. And criminality must be met with punishment. It must be met with justice. The victims of this criminality must see that justice is being served. If victims do not see that justice is being served, what happens is that they begin to interpret the law onto themselves because the law has failed them. Now people will create, nature abhors a vacuum. People will create laws onto themselves and carry out what they think is justice. And so we'll start having back and forth, pockets of violence here and there. So our approach and the incoming government approach to this, treat all of this what it is. Before you put anything criminal. If you go to a place and kill people, you're a criminal. And the law has provision for what to do with criminals, and the law will take its course. That is one of the driving points, one of the 7 points of agenda of the Obi government.
Yeah. Let me quickly move over to Ibrahim. Ibrahim, are you there? Good evening once again.
Good evening. I'm here. I'm listening.
Yeah, Ibrahim, I'm sure you listened to what Ndi had to say, and for you, a northern man who really has probably gotten a lot of sticks from people who seem to have put you in a particular stereotype because of what some people have done. How do you feel as a Muslim, as a man from the north, and as someone who has, had to endure some diatribes from people who have given you names just because of what has happened in the north? Try your best to actually, explain that very succinctly for us. How do you feel?
Thank you very much. You see, maybe I have a very different mindset voluntarily throughout my life. And nobody made me feel inferior or made me feel the pain of somebody doing something to push it to me. I think my experience in the North is that once you turn away from knowledge, any other thing is going to catch up and make you look very, very bad. It's the education that makes you to shine. It's the thing that is the light that you show in front of you to go to where. And the moment I see the North declining in the system of learning, I know we are going to be in serious trouble. During the Sardauna, education has been the backbone for everybody, and that's the only part for us to get to where we want to go to. And it helped us seriously. At the early stage, the Islamic teaching was really okay. And we tend to be at the center of loving each other. We don't know the difference between somebody is a Christian, somebody is a Muslim, we see each other as humans, and also we treat each other as human according to what the Islam said to us. So there is no any superiority that we have to move against somebody. We have to dominate any other person. That's how we brought up. But as you said, after the 1999, the politicians make best use of what they used to be divide and rule. So they feel that there is an impulse of what they're supposed to take from us, and also see how they can push us towards that. So I think that's what really happened. And they started to create this division, created Islamic-oriented schools they used to create. And then the preaching came from the what they call the Sunni, where they even try to categorize even within the Islamic sect people that are Shia, people that are radical, and then take some and say this one they are not part of us, this one are part of us, and this. Then the words of like Arna and other things start to come up and start to be among the young people. Then the idea of this jihad that came up with somebody that's special domination and things like that. And that my problem is that at that moment, government did not do anything to solve the problem, because there was meetings in the 1980s, and they're supposed to have put up something that at least in the next coming 100 years, we will not have any similar something like medicine, but they allow it. Within the next 30 years, we have another Boko Haram that comes to tell us that even Boko is haram. That's mean knowledge or going to school is haram. And so that's how we started. And I think the teaching is really, really bad for us. And we're not getting exactly what we want to get from everybody that is coming to us or having this discussion. So we really have to go back to that where we are before, what we've been doing before, how we are taking care of our society before. It's very important and very critical for us, because if we miss to come back with that love and remove this hate among ourselves and treat any other person like a human being, we will not go back to where we are. That's the facts of what is happening in the North. So it's not about somebody, it's about the indoctrination of that ideology into people's head. Trying to now blame somebody of you're not having a good life, blaming somebody because you think that you are not doing well, blaming somebody on everything that comes to you, and then also take an arm to see that you can quench that anger on somebody that is not the right person that you're supposed to push your anger to. For example, it's our elite that are now putting us in this disadvantaged place. But our anger is within the poor masses themselves. So if you go to what Ndi is saying, you see the poor killing poor. So it's like transfer of aggression. So somebody makes you angry, if somebody makes you what you want to be, then you now go and look for a small community, small group of people, and now vent your anger on those. Because some of the videos of the guy that I read, he was even saying that if government keep on attacking their people, they will keep on attacking the defenseless people. So you can see it's just like a transfer of aggression. So if you see even within houses, within community, the poor people, if they see with a good car, they start to feel very, very bad. You see with a good clothes, they start to feel very bad. So now he will now transfer the aggression of what he's feeling about the society onto you, because he feels like maybe you are the closest, reduce his anger. So that it created that like an umbrella of some very sad people trying to get themselves out within their own people to just solve small problem that is not even a problem to them.
Thank you, Ibrahim. The next question I'm going to ask you, I'll have to go a little bit down the memory lane, particularly from 1999. And, the reason for this question is because you've already spoken that one of the major challenges you're facing in the North is because people are not exposed to what you call proper education, more like they're being indoctrinated to do, wrong things. In 1990, up until 2007, we had some of the best brains in this nation occupying the legislative arm of government from the North, particularly people like Professor Jibril, Jibril Abdulkarim, a professor, of some surgical medicine by all standards. It was well read. We had governors that they could always hold their own against anyone. But after that particular, stage, it looked as if the individuals who took over from them and and then started populating the legislature, the Senate chambers, were individuals who were just playing politics. Now, at the moment, what do you think is the future of a northern youth in terms of being able to aspire to the best of positions politically, knowing forward that most of them don't have the best of education now? What they get now is what their leaders want them to have. They can't really separate, the right from the wrong at the moment. What do you think in northern youth of this particular dispensation?
No, what is happening now is that's the revolution that we have now, John. We have seen like Mr. Peter Obi as just like an avenue for us to vent that anger, because what's really happening is that you can't contest election unless a godfather has stand for you. So if we are going for election, for instance, this year's election, for example, a governor will come and buy off all the forms in APC and maybe all the forms in PDP. Then he will now distribute this form only to those people that are loyal to him or people that are going to pay for that position. So that means they are not going to be picking people based on merit or anything. So that's why on every platform that I got this opportunity, I always tell young Nigerians, I said, if we are able to bring Labour Party to be the Peter Obi to win, then it's like we are liberating ourselves. That means to show that you can go to any party, irrespective of whether it's the structured of criminality or so, you're supposed to just be a good man, get to any party. If your people likes you, people will vote for you. That is supposed to be. But now we have to be struggling to go to get a ticket either in APC or the PDP. But that's why I'm pushing everything that I have towards this Labour Party movement, Obidient movement, to make sure that at least we create that, we break that jinx, so that at least people can contest in other parties once you can do whatever you want to do, so that it's going to be less expensive for anybody to be part of the politics. Because in that politicking that I'm talking about, you can go and see a presidential candidate to be aspired to be a president in one of the parties is 100 million naira. You understand? So that's mean how many youth can you get for you to get senator? How much supposed to be? House of Member, how much is supposed to be? So because people that are criminal, people that are getting money from drugs, people are money from Yahoo and everything. Now they have the money and they have to go for it. So it's easier for them to go into that National Assembly and also to go and do only play politics, because they don't have any ethics, they don't have any thing that is guiding them towards the appointment they have gotten. So we are endangered the way India has said it. Everybody is endangered. So it's just for us to push ourselves to make sure that at least this holistic system that people are trying to create in the North, we have to break it. So we have to make sure that not that we have seen before, where the son of nobody can become somebody. Because any other person that you have seen today is actually the son of nobody. But it's not an opportunity of education and also the level playing ground given to them at that moment that make them to be who they are, including the people, that are talking about, and other people that you can talk about, the great people in the North. So if we want to break that barrier, then this is the right thing for us to do. Join this movement, say what we believe, and also cry out to the world to see that, okay, this is the kind of world Nigeria we want. That we call it a new Nigeria, because we are not okay with the old Nigeria. We are not okay with the present system that we're seeing. We want to see a Nigerian that solve problem. As one of my friends always tell me, if you are 40 years to 50 years old, pick any newspaper on the date of your birth. For like that, would you know, you can just take a newspaper of the day that you are giving birth to. If you read the contents and you see the problem exactly as the problem you are seeing today. That means we are creating government after government, but we're not solving problems. We're just trying to just make some other people to just what is called escapism. So there's this escape from poverty. So joining politics is just for the idea of you to escape from poverty and just make yourself the big man, what they call it, the big manism, so that people will now gather in your house and make you feel kinky. That's the kind of thought we have. You see just big men trying to have big houses with big cars. Sometimes 2 years, 3 years after they live in office, you see them, they cannot even take care of it, because they just want to feel among, they just want to be among. You can see them how they abuse the powers given to them. You don't see them sharing that ideas into people. You don't see them lifting people up. You don't see them using it to suck out the heat that is within the society. I'm living in Kaduna, I'm from Sokoto, but I know what Kaduna was before. I know what Jos was before. You understand? Any other northerner wants to have a house in Jos or in Kaduna, they want to come and rock life, they want to enjoy. But look at how Kaduna has turned to, you understand? Look at how Jos has turned to today. So these are things that we are seeing that they are not giving us a good future, and we have to fight for us to get that future. And then this is the right place we are to sit and be part of this Obidient movement, so that we can create that new Nigeria, a system that will work for us, not only for us, but the genuine ones that are coming, because they are more innocent than us and they are more stakeholders than us. What we are doing today is that is doing what the other people that are 70 refuse to do for us. So we said, me, you, and any other person that is looking at me as Obidient and young Obidient, we want to create Nigeria. If they okay it to give us the Nigeria we are seeing today, us, it's not okay to give our junior ones the Nigeria that we inherited. We give them better something that at least we will be happy in their life.
Thank you, Ibrahim. I'll move over to Ndi now, and Ndi, thank you for bearing with me all this while. Ndi, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, I can, clearly.
Okay. I think we should just talk about politics now, knowing full well that you have become a political juggernaut, as it were, being one of the spokesperson of the PCC. Let's talk about your experience thus far. How has it been, having to take up such a very, very huge responsibility? How has it been for you? Did you hear me? Did you hear my question?
Yes, you said, how does it feel having to take up such a
responsibility? Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, you are, like I said, you're a woman, a northerner, and then you have to be to one of the major contenders. How does it feel for you?
So I've been in politics since my early 20s. I think either 22 or 24. I think since age 22, I've been a critic of government, and I used to write articles and stuff. And then from age 24, really jumped into politics. And this is almost 10 years later. And here we are. The thing about it is, I mean, this is not my first time representing a political party in the media. I've represented before the coming of Peter Obi to Labour Party, and me, deciding that I was going to side with Peter Obi in this campaign. I've represented a political party in the media for a long time, in my 20s before. Yes, I did that, a major political party in my 20s, and for a long time. And I dare I say I did quite well doing that. However, being a spokesperson is a different ballgame entirely. So when this responsibility came, I assumed that it was just the same, you would go say your piece on TV and then go and rest. But that is not the case. A spokesperson is so much more. The work is exhausting. And sometimes I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to just take a step back. It can be tedious. And I'm currently the youngest spokesperson. I think I'm treading that line. I'm treading that line where you know, people would decide, yes, she's doing good at her job, but she's a young person. They don't know where to place you as a young person in a position like this. It's very tricky. Do they respect you? Do they say thank you? Do they tell you as a young person how to behave? It's a very I'm in a very different terrain, but I'm managing it well. The blogs have not been nice at all. If I cough the wrong way, the blogs will carry it. And it's unfortunate, especially as a woman, as a young woman, I don't see that done to other spokespersons in the way that it is done to me. Because, other spokespersons, like everybody has, I mean, this is politics. People have all their funny stories and all, but the attention, the kind of attention that is there. I mean, I like to think that my personal life is very unremarkable. Unfortunately, the blogs do not think so. So becoming tabloid fodder is not something that I budgeted for or planned for. Unfortunately, here we are. So I try to just remain as unremarkable as possible, and I always hope that people focus on the work, because it's very easy for a distraction to happen where you're on TV and then the response you get from people is, oh my God, you look so gorgeous, you look so beautiful. Like, no, that's not the point here. The absolute point here is that we're on TV making great points about Obi's presidency and, the campaign and the way forward for Nigeria. And we hope that people are listening. At least, I mean, overwhelmingly, I still get, let me not complain, because overwhelmingly, the response to that is that people are hearing what I'm saying, the message is getting across, and it feels good.
We can't talk about the future of the North without talking about the individuals who are going to actually make that future realized. I mean, we can talk about a few females who have been able to do exceptionally well politically in the North. The late Aisha Al-Assad would have become the governor of Taraba had she not, died. And then just recently, they're still talking about Binani, who is actually the governorship candidate of Adamawa State, under a label, under APC. I'm going to ask you this question. Does Labour Party really stand a chance to do miracles in the North? And if they do have if they enjoy such grace, for you as a politician now, are you thinking about doing something political in the next couple of years within the same political party, as it were?
I mean, yeah, I ran for State House of Assembly in 2019, and I didn't get the ticket, unfortunately. 2023, another political party had offered me the ticket. Basically, another major political party has said, the chairman of that party has said they would give me the ticket if I wanted, and I was like, no. It's as if I knew that something was going to happen, that I was going to be a part of something much bigger, but I just said no. And at the time, I wasn't aware of the movement that was coming, but I just knew that this is not the time for me to run. But in the future, I will most likely. I like to think that as my political career is shaping, though, I see myself more as somebody who will be more involved in shaping policy. I like policy conversations. I like belonging to the executive arm of government, getting things done from that angle, because that drive that is needed for the grassroots, you know, when you go to do grassroots, you're not talking politics again. You have to leave all the intellectualism and play the kind of politics that is played at the grassroots. And it's not something that I'm really excited about. If it's something that I have to do, I wouldn't mind, okay, you know what, I have to do this, I have no choice. But, you know, there are people that get a thrill by running for elections, get a thrill by being in front of a crowd and shouting, and the crowd will shout back, none of that. I don't get that thrill. I like to belong in an office, creating change, creating policies that will affect Nigeria, implementing these policies and seeing them through. And that is really that's really it for me. However, if I catch the bug again and 2027 calls, I just might, but I fit better in a certain kind of system, and you see how I function better there. People always ask why I don't go for rallies, and the truth is there are 6 of us spokespersons. Some of us I just don't belong in that setting. You know, I mean, apart from the fact that I'm asthmatic and it's detrimental to my health, but in sincerity, when I get there, I wonder what are we supposed to do here? I'm much better in enclosed spaces when we're having intellectual, yes, when we're having intellectual conversations like this, and then you can put points across, points that will make a change, you know, come to, you know, arrive at a solution, arrive at something that is better. I'm better off in these settings. Yes, and that's my
Thank
point.
you. And I'll get back to you. Let me quickly just go to Ibrahim. He has to take a sleep, and I need to just ask him one or two before he goes. Ibrahim, are you there?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry for being away for such a long time, but I really need to ask you this question. I know you've got to leave, but this question is actually for you, and it's on behalf of all Nigerian youth. Do you think Nigerian youth are ready, you know, to take over to take back their country as we have it at a particular point in time?
Yes, I can say they are very, very ready, which I know. As you can see, they have been the ones in charge of almost everything we are doing. They are the one that set up the whole program of the Obidient movement. They are the one actively doing all what we are asking them to do, and they even ignite the passion in everyone, including what we are seeing today as Obidient TV and any other thing. It's all about the Nigerian youth. So in the north, they are excited too. They are trying to see what they can do for themselves. Everybody understands the need for us to fight for the new Nigeria, and that is only going to work if we do the right thing as a young people. Nigeria belongs to us, it don't belongs to anyone. And without the power of the young Nigerians, there is no way we can achieve anything we want to achieve, because it's the mindset issue that we have. So the first thing we need to do is to make sure that we create that mindset of the young Nigerians where they can see into the future, they can see into the reality, they can see into what they can do for themselves. So if that's the idea of what we want to achieve and how we want to achieve it, then I think there's nobody that can say the Nigerian youth are not ready. I interact with them on a daily basis. Even today, I know a lot of them calling us, telling us we are going to so place to do what they call it, their outings. They say campaign outing, or they say they are going to go for voter enlightenment. They want to go and sell the Obidient movements to people. That's their activity on a daily basis. In the news. Without them, we will not be where we are today. That's why we said that they are ready. What they need is just for us to keep talking to them. Most of them just want a lot of activities. For example, in the north, we need more of our activities on radio, more of our activities on the street, using the ulamas, using the mosques, so that at least we can tell them the need for them to participate in creating the Nigeria that there's so much desire and there's so much want to see. That's just what I think is needed, and they need guide, because there is no moral support for the young people. There is no people that are looking up to as role model, because the older ones that are now in their 60s, 70s, during their time, they have some people around their area that they will say, okay, this is a person that we are looking up to. We want to be like so person. But now in the Gen Z and the younger ones, they don't have people in front of them that will say, okay, these are the people who are looking up to. This is the kind of life I want to.
But now it's all about Yahoo, Yahoo. Everybody, a young person that of just 16, see them harassing people, taking mobile phones from people, killing people. Some of the killers that Ndi is saying, if you go and see with their AK-47, they are just very young people. They don't see any value of life. They don't see anything to do. So they can kill, they can mend, they can do anything. You are growing up without love. You see that a lot of them as Almajiri. If you have an Almajiri, you grew up without a father, you have a mother on the street. There is no love. You don't even know how to take care of yourself, talk less of taking care of somebody. So it's easier for somebody to just brainwash them, push them to what they want them to do, which I think that's why we are even more afraid of this Muslim ticket, because that's what is going to add to that. It's going to increase that level of a lot of young people to be converted into this combatant, for them to see that maybe they are doing this for religion. Actually, when the politicians are not doing it for religion, they are just doing it for them to win election. So these are some of the major problems we are seeing. This is what we are having, and this is what we must correct. And this is why I so much enjoy when these young people are saying that this is our time, we have to do the change ourselves. And then all the time, Mr. Peter Obi is telling them, just exercise this your right for you to have a new Nigeria through me and through the Labour Party.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim. It's such a pleasure to have had the honor of hosting you this evening. And we wish you the very best in all your future endeavors. Thank you for being our guest on the show tonight. Oh, okay, we'll come back to Ndi now. Ndi, apologies for keeping you waiting while Ibrahim was actually... Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, Ibrahim has to go somewhere, I understand.
Yes.
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Okay, good. So now let's talk about how it all began. I know you probably didn't start the Obidient movement from the beginning, but when you got that invite to join the campaign trail, how did you feel? What was the appeal for you when you were approached? Because I mean, from what you said earlier, a party approached you to give you the ticket. You probably rejected that, and then somebody came and said, "You know what? Would you like to join this campaign trail?" How did you feel when you got that? And what was the appeal? What was the attraction for you? Knowing full well that you'll be working with very many, pardon my words, irascible young Nigerians who could probably call you out whenever you mess up. How did you feel when you got that invite?
This selection has been quite something for me. Much of a roller coaster. I was approached by 3 parties to be their spokesperson. 2 of those parties wanted me to be their major spokesperson. The other party wanted me to be their female spokesperson. And the Labour Party, what resonated with me here was the young people, the youth, and their yearnings. You know, I've spent a great part of my own youth being the voice of our generation, from NSAS to many other issues plaguing the nation, Southern Kaduna, even issues plaguing the Niger Delta. You know, I have advocated on several issues. So it would be quite strange that, you know, a lot of, you know, millions of young people are in this movement, and then I would decide that I'm going to go with the old political order. And that was what informed my choice. The young people are clamoring, they are trying their best. This is not the easiest thing to do, but they are trying, and you see that effort. And I and these young people have fought on the same lines, you know, on the same battle lines for years over the same issues. And so when the movement first started, I wasn't on the movement from the beginning. You know, I was, again, I'm not lacking for political structures who want me to be part of their structure and part of the work they are doing. To be honest, in the political space, I've been at this for quite a while, so there won't be a shortage of political parties who want me to work for them. But like I said, here I found, you know, our generation, young people, our generation and Gen Z, that's millennials and Gen Z, are really pushing on this. And many of these young people have seen so much suffering. Many of these young people just want their freedom, want the right to be able to continue their work in peace, to exist in peace. It's on the same battle lines. And NSAS is not too far away. I was an integral part of NSAS, and I suffered so much for participating in NSAS and giving my voice in NSAS. So if that movement spills over into this, I'm definitely going to want to. I'd been in several meetings, in several highbrow meetings when the issue was, you know, when Peter Obi's issue was brought up. As far back as, in fact, I would say June, July, even May, I've, you know, been in meetings where he was discussed. And even though I wasn't invested at the time, I picked the point. I knew those who were pushing, those who were supporting. I understood the mood and what everybody had to say about Peter Obi in these meetings. So that was something that really helped. And at the end of the day, when I was approached, it wasn't really like an audition. It was a Ndi, come and do this thing for us, please now, you know. And the first time I had not made up my mind because I mean I run an organization I used to run an organization that is well funded by international donors, and you know, will I leave this? Will I leave this and come and do this work? I battled with that. So the first time I was called, I actually didn't say yes immediately. The second time I was called, I didn't say yes immediately. It was the third time I was like, okay, this is overwhelming. I need to start this work. And so I resigned from my job, and then I took this and to the job, and it has been quite something. Obedience. I mean, why? I can't really complain. Obedience have told Peter Obi himself that if he doesn't do the right thing, they will call him out. They have told Peter Obi that if he insults himself, they will drag him. So if they have told that to the candidates, who am I? You know, so these are all things you take in, you know, you take in your stride, and a lot of young people can be really excited about these things. For many, this is their first election. For many, they are so invested. So you just have to understand the many emotions. When people are emotionally invested in a thing, you can't really control in what direction, you know, their emotions go. So you just take it in good stride. You know, when it gets to insults or things that really affect my mental health, the best I do is to block and just, you know, I can't do this, block this person. But generally, it's been good. Obedience are also like a family. So while they will pull your ear in one side if they think you are misbehaving, another group of people cannot come and touch you. And that's the funny part. You know, obedience can be telling you you're not doing the right thing. And if anybody that's not an obedient comes and joins mouth, hey, they will turn and face that person. So it is yeah, so it has been quite an exciting thing. What I like the most is that a lot of young people feel like I'm representing them in this election season. A lot of young people, when they hear me, feel that, you know what, this is what I wanted to say. This person is conveying what I want to say. This person is like me. That's very important to me, that I'm young, I'm female. Many people are seeing me like, this person is like me. They can resonate, they can relate to the message I'm putting out there. They know that this is a representative, and this is why representation is good. You know, that it's a representative of them. Someone like them. It's not just an old people's game. Young person is here, 33, doing this thing. So it matters. It's so much on my shoulders, but I'm up to the task.
Yeah, Ndi, you know, I know you're part of the spokespersons, but I'm going to ask you this very, very, uh, it's simple, but it's more like I want to probably, you know, be a bit, you know, pungent. Do you believe in obedience? Do you think it's going to, it speaks for you the way it speaks at the moment? And do you think also that the future of the North is actually assured, or like I say, is safe with someone like Obi? And this is, I want you to be very,
Of
very
course, I mean, let me go straight to that future. Mhm. Let me go straight to that future of the North. Like, this man has an outline plan. He has an outline plan. He has talked about it. If you even look at the 7-point agenda, from securing the nation to the rule of law, to the talk on human capital, to STEM, you know, when he talked about the digital economy, you know, create that education part, you know, preparing our people through STEM for the digital economy, for jobs and all of that. These are things that ring with the North. Eradication of poverty. These are all talking points that ring with the North. It's like, as a Northerner, I look at this and I was like, wow, this man must have really looked at my region closely and understood what it is we need. And it is based on what we need that he has outlined the 7 points agenda, because every single one of these agendas are things that if you put them in place, if you implement, Northern Nigeria will be fine. Of course, the whole nation, but I mean, I will start from my place. And so this is it. And when he talks to Northern Nigeria, one thing I appreciate is that when he talks, the people get a sense that he knows what he's saying. This is not somebody that is just pulling things out of the air. He has studied these things. He has studied what is happening in Northern Nigeria. He has studied the solution. He has, you know, ruminated on this. He has focused. He knows these are the issues. When he says agriculture is the new gold and we need to secure the north so that people can go to their farms, employ best practices for commercial farming. This is where a lot, and truthfully, like if you come to Southern Kaduna, all things being equal, ginger is our own crude oil. Ginger, we have the best ginger in the world in Southern Kaduna. It's our own crude oil. When people even call, I think what do they call ginger in Southern Kaduna? Credit alert. That's what they call it. I did go do my credit alert work. Yes, because it's so profitable. International buyers fly into Kafanchan to buy ginger and go back. It's profitable, but we have not been able to create any product out of ginger. These international buyers, they fly in, they take the ginger, they make products out of it, then they sell it, and we in Nigeria still buy. That's the same way we are doing with our oil now. They take the oil abroad, refine it, then bring it back. And that's what's happening. So when he talks of agri being the new gold, you understand that things like this can be done on a larger scale. And that is what is important. He understands this. He understands these things. So when he's speaking to the North from a place of someone who knows, who has studied these things, who understands. And I like it. These are not, so again, this resonates with me. Peter Obi's presidency resonates with me because it seems like it's a presidency that is targeted and making sure that Northern Nigeria comes out of the quagmire that it is in right now.
Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, Andy, we can't talk about Obi, and his campaign train without talking about his vice presidential candidate, who happens to also come from your state. Would he say his involvement with influenced your decision to probably, work with these people? And again, who is Dati Baba Ahmed to you?
I do not have a personal relationship with Dati Baba Ahmed, but I will say that my first encounter with Dati Baba Ahmed was in 2019 elections and the 2019 PDP convention. Dati Baba Ahmed took the bold step of running for president, and so he was one of the what do they call them? Is it aspirants, right? Yes, he was one of the aspirants. It depends on who wins the ticket that is a candidate. So he was one of the aspirants for the PDP candidate, for the PDP ticket, presidential ticket. And I remember when he took to the podium, I watched this thing and I was like, wow, all things being equal, this man should have the opportunity to get this ticket. He gave such a resounding speech. He was so good. And of course, he said one thing that canceled him. He said he wasn't going to give any money. He said he wasn't going to give any money, but he spoke of a better Nigeria. I wish people could go and find that tape from PDP's convention, PDP's 2019 convention. To see, and I took note of him. I was like, okay, this is a very brilliant man. And then I was told, oh, he's the owner of Bayes University. And as time, progressed between then and now, I have had a couple of run-ins with Bayes University. And not run-ins is not necessarily a bad thing. I've had a couple of encounters with Bayes University. I've spoken at events in Bayes University. But one of those events, I don't think at that time Peter Obi and Dati had even knew they were going to form a team. But I shared the stage with him at Bayes University. Bayes University has engaged on a very intellectual level. It shows that, look, this man with education, he knows the direction he's going. If you see the quality of that school, the quality of students, and all of that are produced. So that has been my encounter with him. And then at this at the Labour Party, once his name came up, I knew that this is a person who is cerebral. This is a very intelligent, brilliant man. He brings so much to the table, and I have absolutely no problem with his candidacy. I'm also exposed to his brother too, who is Hakim, who is a very brilliant man. And so this is a family of very brilliant people, intellectuals, and also representing Kaduna State. So, yay.
If we didn't have Peter in the picture, and for instance, let's say Baba Ahmed, were to be the candidate of LP, would you have voted for him? Would you have supported him the way you support the Obi movement at this particular point in time?
One of the things I'm for equity, so I'm for equity. If the time that the person is running, because at this point, Northern Nigeria has still had 8 years, and it's the time for Southern Nigeria to run. So at this particular, it's very difficult for me to support somebody who is not from Southern Nigeria, because if we break this zoning, is going to be very dangerous for the very heterogeneous society that Nigeria, country that Nigeria is. So number one for me, I mean, I won't say number one, I mean competence is number one, but apart from competence, I would say that the next biggest thing for me is zoning. So not at this time, but if at the time when power should rotate to the north, that Baba Ahmed comes out to run for office, I would say that I would wholly support him.
Okay, it's been a very exciting time with you, on this particular show. Ndi, thank you so much for gracing this particular show with your presence. I mean, you've analyzed issues very, very intellectually and beautifully. I just, had a great time, I must say. I mean, that I'm making this confession for the first time. You did sweep me off my feet. Thank you so much for that.
Thank
Your
you so
final
much.
words. What will be? Should he win the presidency? I think he's likely to win. Some of us believe he will win because, the frenzy is building up. Looks like everyone is actually catching the bug, to use your expression. What will be your advice, for that man? Should he win the presidency come 20? Come.
Oh, he better work. That's my advice. Because for some of us, we don't. I'm not in any system. I'm not one who worships a candidate, whether or not they're doing the right thing, and that's why I kind of feel like, will I fit in with government? Because I won't see you doing the wrong thing, and I will stand by you. If I'm not happy, even in this campaign, if I'm not happy with something, I call and let people know my peace of mind. I am not happy with this. I'm not happy with that. And that's the kind of person I am. I'm not subject to authority that does not function. So if Peter Obi wins the 2023 election, I would want him to get to work. I'm working for this election, working for this campaign because I want a change in Nigeria. I don't want business as usual. If I wanted business as usual, I'll have gone to another place where, it will be profitable stuff, But at this point, we're all fighting for survival. It's not something it's not about me. It's not about me, it's about Nigeria. It's not about what I stand to gain. It's not about what anybody stands to gain. But I put so much faith on and in him, and we are hoping that he delivers. So he needs to hit the ground running, and he needs to prove to all of us that we did not waste our energy or our effort or our belief and our trust in him. And that's what we need to see. I'm not here for frivolities or friendliness. Once you enter that place, you are now our employee and you better work. If not, with the same us too, we'll start again. So
thank you so much.
Who should guys if you don't know what to get? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
It's been an enjoyable time with you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And I wish you the best in your life's journey. Thank you so much. And have a beautiful evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
You too. Bye.
A very exhilarating experience with Ndi and Ibrahim. Ibrahim left earlier, but Ndi has really, really given us what I would describe as something much more than the ordinary. What a great time I had discussing with that young Nigerian who is not only cerebral but very beautiful. And whenever she actually analyzes her issues, she's always top-notch. It's been a very sweet one. My name is Waju Akin-Emmanuels, and you've been listening to The New Deal on the Style, the Obidient movement. And tonight we talked about the future of the North. Join us again next time. Until then, I say have a beautiful evening, and don't forget to go get your PVC so that you can vote for me. Bye-bye.